For the ladies who would have joined later on, I need you to have your notebook and be taking notes actively as we're going through this, because there's going to be a little quiz to test your memory. Right. So, does anybody remember? Please feel free to shout or send a message. Does anybody remember what is another term for set design?
Scenic design.
Scenic design. Thank you very much, Samara. So, set design is also called scenic design, which is all part of stagecraft, and stagecraft includes everything that's technical about theater, from lighting to sound, costuming, and all that jazz. Now, for this one, I want to list, does anybody remember some of the people that a set designer might work with? Some of the other people on a production team who a set designer will work with? Just feel free to shout or drop it in the chat. Anyone, anybody remember who might be the set designer's friends, who they might work with, who they might work alongside? Nope, memory lapse. Okay. So a set designer will also work alongside the production team. So they'll work with the director, the dramaturg, and of course the other designers, the costume designers, and so on and so forth. So once they've all agreed on the best design, they will work within the production budget. And then the set designer will go from then to supervise the set constructors and the set dressers. Does anybody remember what is the role of the set dresser? What does the set dresser deal with? Feel free to shout it out or drop it in the chat for me.
Miss, do they like deal with, like, after a scene when you have to change a scene, do they change the scene for you? Like they put the chairs and the props and stuff?
So the person, thank you, Inacia, the person that you're talking about there, or the people that you're talking about, those are the stage hands or the stage crew. And the interesting thing about them is that they don't work particularly with set alone, but they'll work with anything that has to be on stage. Now, the stage crew will only come into play during the actual performance itself. However, the set dressers will work on the set before it goes on stage. Does anybody remember what set dressers deal with? They're part of the set construction team, but what exactly do they deal with?
Adding the little details to the set.
Great, thank you, Kaylee. So that's what the set dressers deal with. Hold on. They are responsible for texture and details like curtains, tablecloths, carpet. So they add all the smaller details that make the set look realistic or lived in and things like that. Thank you. So we're just going through all of this very quickly. What do we think is the very first, and y'all would have gotten a revision quiz, so you should know the answer to this one. What's the very first step that a set designer would have to take when they are given a script for a play? The very first step.
Miss, still have to read through it.
Great, thank you. They have to read the script and also research. So they'll have to read the script itself and then look at its background. They'll have to attend rehearsals to get a sense of the play and all of that. Great, thank you. Then after that, don't mind my typo. They will right, so after that, they will settle on what the aesthetic is going to be. So they'll select the different colors, the materials and things that will reflect the director's creative aesthetic. Whatever the director wants the play to look like, the set designer will create a vision that will make that happen. And then from then, after they have the idea in their head, they're going to put it on paper or do a digital design, and they produce some sketches and some designs. And sometimes the sketches and designs aren't all perfect from the beginning, so they have to do them over. The director doesn't really like this, or it wouldn't really work with this type of play, and that's fine, and they'll do it over and over until they come up with something that everybody can agree on. I hope you all are taking notes. Then from there, they will shop for the actual materials that would make it, you know, make it all happen. So they'll look for paints. They'll go down by Benjamin Moore and buy this color paints. They will get materials like wood. Most set pieces are made out of wood because it's typically lighter. If they need to get furniture, if you need a big couch or a big dining table in your set, they'll go down by quartz and borrow or beg or steal one. And then they'll supervise the construction of things that need to be built. So of course, there are things that won't need to be built, and there are things that will need to be built. And overall, what they're doing is working within the budget, because you cannot come and decide that you're doing a play on Alice in Wonderland and you want a big grand table for the Mad Hatter and the little creatures to sit at, and then you don't have the budget for it, because then how are you going to get your big grand table, right? So that's just an overview. Remember, I'm just going through this very quickly because we would have done it before. That's just an overview of the set designer's responsibilities. And again, looking for some answers here. Some of the things that the set, and some of the things you're going to say might not even be in this slide, but some of the things that the set might indicate about the play. Some of the things that it might, you know, might tell you about the context in which a play is based. Anything, any ideas? If you're in the audience,
The era,
great.
the time.
Great. It will tell you the era in which the play was set. It will tell you when it is, whether it's modern day, whether it's contemporary, or whether it's set years past, or whether it's set in the future. Good, very good. Anybody else? Anything? If you're sitting down in the audience looking at a play and the play hasn't even started yet, and they open the curtains and you see the set, what might you be able to guess about the play from what you see on set, the set alone?
Where it's taking place, like the country or, you know, place where it's being played.
Excellent. So it will tell you where, and that is really the essence of what a set is supposed to do. It's supposed to tell you the setting. It's supposed to tell you where this is taking place, whether it's a tropical country, whether it's an island, whether it's a temperate country, things like that. One or two more. Anybody else? Anything that the set might tell you about a play?
What time it'll be, like judging from the background?
Yes, very good. So sometimes you will have sets where they adjust the lighting on the set so that the scenes that happen in the night, they're going to be darkly lit, and the scenes that happen in the day, they're going to be a bit brighter. If it's in the evening, they might mix in pink and orange and things like that. Very good. I even think that is on this slide. One more, anybody? Something that the set might tell you about a play? And I even check my chat. Okay, so of course it will convey the setting, and we know the difference between setting and set. It will convey the era or period, as you very rightly said. It might also show you symbols or themes. So this will come into play particularly if you have a set that's not necessarily realistic. So it might not be a house, or it might not be a bedroom or a dining room, but it's supposed to represent something, like a concept of something. It will convey the aesthetic of the play. So whether the play is supposed to look modern and hip and cool, or whether it's supposed to look, you know, dismal or rustic or any of these things. And it will also convey the style. So the style will have to do more with modern or contemporary versus back in the day, and so on and so on, so forth. Thank you all very much for your responses. So some of these things to consider in a set aesthetic. Anybody want to give me one or two? If you are designing a set and the director tells you, okay, boom, this is my vision, what are some of the things that you might have to consider in bringing that vision to life?
The props.
Yes, now this is a very good point, because particularly in Trinidad, a lot of time the same people who are dealing with set are the same people dealing with props. In the real world, as in places that have a bigger theater industry, this isn't always the case, but props are there, and set dressing is something that you definitely have to take into consideration. But usually by the book, it would normally be separate people dealing with it, but in our case, most times whoever dealing with set is also dealing with props. So you'll have to think about the color. Colors create mood and symbolism. So we know blue makes us feel differently than pink will make us feel. And pink will make us feel differently than green will make us feel. And they all convey different feelings and ideas. You'll have to think about what type of stage. Because if you have an arena stage, which is theater in the round, you cannot decide that you want to have a big fat house in on one side of the stage, because an entire portion of the audience is going to be blocked off. So you have to think about if it's outdoor, if it has to withstand the elements or whatever the case might be. If it's a proscenium stage, which it most likely, most commonly is, you have to think about where the entrances and exits are, that kind of thing. Thinking about condition, so old versus new. By the way, this picture that is at the bottom here, this was actually from a play that we did for, well, not we, I mean, remember I have 10 minutes with you all and then you come straight back, right? This was for expressions of talent at some point in time. I don't know, I wasn't there, but it was for a play that the Form 6 students at the time did. And it was based in a beauty shop, as you can tell from the set. So when HFC ready to do things, we just do things sometimes. And then the practicality, so exactly what I was talking about, set changes. If you have a play that's set in plenty different places, you can't have one big fat set. You need set pieces that can move easily and change and adjust accordingly. Great. Going on. So the elements of a set, this is also from a local play. This was in a Panyard, actually, in Port of Spain, that they converted into a little theater for this particular play. So the elements of a set would be like a backdrop or a backcloth, which is a piece of cloth, as you would assume, that's hung behind the stage. So you could either paint it or you could have projections shone into it. I hope I'm not going too fast for you all, but this should be familiar. This is literally the same PowerPoint. So this particular backdrop is painted, but you could have probably gotten a similar effect by having light or projections shone onto it. Another name for that is the cyclorama. I'm going to type that in the chat for everybody to see. The cyclorama is a big, or this I can't say it right now. It's a big white cloth that is at the back of the stage. Not all stages, but most proscenium stages. So I don't think SAPA has one, but Naparima Bowl definitely has one. Sky cloth, that's the word. Yeah, I'm gonna type that in the chat as well so y'all could see. Sorry for typing in caps, but cyclorama sky cloth is a nice big white cloth that's at the back there. So this is a little video, which I assume you would have seen already, of an example where they use projections. So it kind of looks as though it's painted on, but it's actually a projection. So they would have probably gotten this image on Google, and this is an Aprima bowl, by the way. Great. So they would have gotten that image on Google, and they upload it in the thing, and they put it on the projector in the thing, and they shine it on the thing. Right. So this one, which we, very rightly mentioned, that the set could tell you the time of the day, but that's more lighting. But in this particular one, it doesn't necessarily tell you the time, but it tells you the mood. So you could tell that things are quite, intense going on there. I'm in this picture. If you all could find me, that's good for you. But yes, that's another thing. And levels, particularly. So you create levels by using things that are different heights, of course. So this set has a lot of levels on it. And it's nice because you can see everything that's going on. You can see everybody and everything. And it all adds to the aesthetic. Levels again. So if they were all sitting down on one ramp, then most of them would be hidden from the audience, right? So it's nice to create levels. Always, always, always nice to create levels so that you get a little variation in your images as well that you're looking at from the audience's perspective. Oh, look at that bumps in their levels. If you all have questions at any point in time, of course, ask. Right. So again, so the parts of the set now, flats would represent a wall, then you put flats together and it make a run, and you end up with something like this. This was also for expressions of talent many, 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 many years ago. So you see they had these walls in the back there where the flats were built up to make a run. And then we might represent our set designs. Does anybody want to tell me very quickly some ways that you might represent your set design? So you have your design already, you want to show it to the director. How are you going to present it? Anyone? Or Ishika found me in the picture, y'all. You have a keen eye. Come on, y'all did a project on this. Well, an assignment. Anybody, you could use the chat. Oopsie, I gave it away. So you might have thumbnail sketches, which is just like a rough sketch that you just drop rough drawings, usually in pencil, and you just show the general, general place of everything. Then you might have a finished sketch, which is a rendering, which will show the color, the type, and the location. Oh God. The location of anything, oh gosh, furniture, the levels and everything like that. So a rendering will be a final drawing after you done do your thumbnail sketch. And then you have floor plans, which some of you would have done for me last term, which is an overhead view, and it doesn't show texture. Well, it sometimes shows texture, but it's mostly just for the positioning of the different things on the stage. And some of you did some really good floor plans as well. And then you'll have a model, which I think you all would have done maybe in Form 1 or 2, can be Form 2, maybe Form 1, where you had to actually build a prototype of a set. So a model is a 3D version, basically. And then we have mood boards. Some of you all also did some fantastic mood boards for me last term. So this wouldn't necessarily represent the actual design, but just the ideas. So these are just some pictures of some sets. I don't know why it's moving so fast. This is the panya that I spoke to you all about. This is an Aprima bowl. So this set is obviously supposed to look realistic. You have neighbors side by side. Yes, I will be sending the PowerPoint after class, even though you all have it already. Right. So, anybody have any questions now that we are the the meeting is also going to cut off in 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Now that we're done reviewing that, I'm going to send you a link to a quiz that Ms. Duncan made, where you're going to test your memory and your knowledge of what we just did. So I'm going to send the link in the chat now, and you're going to have 5 minutes to go, and you don't have to download anything, it's just a website, and you go and complete the quiz. I think it's about 7 questions, but the thing real fancy. The website that Ms. Duncan uses is very fancy. So I'm sending it in the chat now. What you're going to do is you're going to take 5 minutes and head across to that website, that link that I sent you, and complete the link, just to double check that we remember all that happened there. And this is how I'm going to take the roll. So once you have finished, so you could go ahead and do it now. The link is in the chat. Once you have finished that, once you finish the quiz, send me your first name and last name in the chat, in the public chat, in the Zoom chat, once you're finished, and I will take the roll from there. So it's now 9:05. I'm gonna give you all about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes to do that. And once you're done, well, the call is also going to end in less than a minute. So just join back the call one time. And once you're finished with the quiz, type your first name and last name in the chat so that I can take the roll, please. And if you have any questions, of course. So I'm now just going to sit here and wait for the call to end so that I could start it back, and I'll go ahead with the link. If you have any problems or any questions, I'm here. Live and direct in person. It looks like I'm drinking coffee or tea, but I am actually drinking grape juice in a cup. To have a look at these plays and just throw out literally any answer, anything that you think would work for the set for these plays. So the first one is Justina's Calypso. This was won by Earl Lovelace. The themes are beauty standards and desirability, love, bullying, jealousy, and deceit. It is set in a madhouse, which is also known as an asylum. And the story is that this woman named Justina, y'all might know the folk song, "Go away, Justina, who go marry to you. Go away, Justina, who go marry to you. Go away, Justina, who go marry to you. Look your face like a whale, like you just come from jail. Go away." And it goes on, right? It's a folk song that they sing for Sandfest and all that jazz. So this play is about that. It's about a woman named Justina who is taunted by her neighbors, who are really all in a madhouse, for being ugly. She is about to be married to her pen pal, who she will meet for the first time. So the whole play is about her preparing to go and meet her pen pal at the airport and all that jazz. Anybody, any idea, anything that you're seeing for a madhouse? The themes are beauty standards and desirabilities, about ugliness and all that jazz. Any ideas that you're seeing for the set for this play? In a madhouse. And I think St. Anne's, Ward 1 kind of vibes. Anybody, anything? Think about movies that you would have seen and things that they would have used to represent, a madhouse. Anybody ever watch Shutter Island, that kind of thing?
But miss, I don't know why, but I think in like hallway where it have like some room, like for you like more. Anyway, no, right. So like I told you about hallways that have doors with bars on it and people screaming and their hands coming out. No.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So you and Jedediah said something kind of similar. Jedediah said plain white rooms with no furniture.
Rooms.
Well, then the thing about it, remember, is that also it's a, gosh, my neighbor cutting grass. It's also a set on a stage. So not so hallways might be a problem for sight lines, as in you might not be able to see down the hallways. But yeah, things like, you might have bloody handprints on the wall or something like that to just make it very apparent that is a madhouse. I like that idea as well. Plain white rooms with no furniture.
Miss, maybe like adding to that, you could have like probably like I don't know, dirt stains and stuff on the wall and little dents, like from people that try to scrape and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So you can have like you see an fingernail, what do you call it? You know what I mean? If you all could see me, you could see my hand fingernail
Like claw
claw marks. That's what I mean. Claw marks, but from like fingernails on the walls. Yeah. And now thinking about the themes for the player, things like I mean love, but it is quite a strange concept of love because in the play as well, I don't need to tell you all these details, but the whole thing is that Justina sent somebody else's picture to the pen pal. So her whole concern now is that when he comes, he's going to see he basically catfished her. Catfished. She basically catfished him. So considering themes like that is about ugliness and beauty standards and bullying and it's set in a madhouse, what colors do we think might work well in this for the set for this kind of play? Somebody said something.
Miss White.
White. Why you say white?
It's like it kind of deals with like the mental asylum and like where the setting is. Like when I hear mental asylum, I think white. It's like they just have on white clothes.
Yes, it's true. I think so as well. I think and the thing about white is that you could contrast it with things to make it look dirty, for lack of a better word, like tattered. So I like the idea of using white, definitely. I think once you see a big white room, you're either thinking is heaven or is a madhouse, which is it's quite the opposite. But Jedediah said that white means purity, and they need that if they're in a madhouse. Ooh, I like that. I like that vein of thinking. Let me move on to, because we have about 9 minutes again. Let me move on to this last one and then we'll go back. So, this is a play that I made up last night, and which is why I dreamt that I went back to school. It's called Jacinta and Company. So the themes are friendship, youth, and adventure. It is set in Holy Faith Convent Penal. Now, I know you all have not been to school in a hot minute, but I'm sure you all remember what it looks like. So the story is that a group of friends gets left behind from a field trip and they end up having the whole school compound for them to themselves for the day. So think about it like this. It's, that last day of school when everybody goes, not last day, when they have field trip day in the last term, boy. Everybody, all the classes are going on a field trip. But these girls, for some reason, I don't know, they were in the bathroom taking selfies or something. And they didn't hear when their maxi left. So when they investigate now, they realize that everybody, down to Miss Jones Peters, down to Miss Charles, Miss Francois, everybody has left the school compound. Even the guard, everybody is left. And they are there all day. And they just have full reign on the compound to do whatever they want for the entire day. Now, it is set in HFC Penal, and we want the audience to know things about HFC Penal without ever having been there. What things would you think are very necessary for this set? What would represent the school compound accurately? Let me hear.
The cultural center.
The cultural center. Good. With dust and everything. Yeah. Anybody else? Anything else? if you have a set in the HFC penal, what it must must have in it?
The canteen.
Say again?
The canteen.
The canteen. Yeah. At some point in your set, you could have one of the two canteens that we do have. Yeah. Good. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Or they forget what the school is look like or what? I have one particularly in mind. And it's classrooms. So now also, well, I'll go on to that in a second. So what set pieces would you need to make it apparent that it is a classroom?
The table and the chair.
Yes, thank you, Karima. Good.
Frances?
Desks and chairs. And one more thing that would make it very, very, very apparent that is a classroom.
It's the board.
The board. Good job, Jada. The whiteboard. We don't have chalkboards anymore. But now, say this play wasn't based in 2020, but it was based in what year were they born? 2000 and something. Maybe it was based in 2001. What would you do differently with the set to let people know that it is based in 2001 and not in 2020?
It's like put things that aren't as current as right now. Like maybe they don't have a PA system.
Girl, it had PA system all back then. What you mean PA system is an old thing? But yes, you're very right. But give me an example. One easy thing, one easy way that you make it apparent that it's older than it is now.
Miss, like the whiteboard, it could be a blackboard.
Very good, exactly.
And even chalk to write.
Good, exactly. So instead of having a whiteboard, you would have a blackboard, right? Because whiteboards were very expensive or non-existent back in the day. So that is one example of a set piece. If the director changes in the middle and says, you know what, I don't want this play set in 2020 anymore, I want it set in 2003 for whatever reason, you're going to have a blackboard instead of a whiteboard. Very good. Now thinking about the themes: friendship, youth, adventure. These are very uplifting themes. What colors do you think we might use to bring that across in this set? And of course, the colors would be in yellow. The colors would be in the set itself and in the lighting. Jedediah said blue, red. Yeah, I mean, they are two kind of different ends of the spectrum. But Jedediah, why do you say blue? I find that interesting because blue usually gives off a different kind of vibe. Anybody else, any colors that you're seeing that would go with this? These themes of friendship, youth, and adventure.
Green, miss?
Green. I find that interesting too because usually you'll use green if it's, I don't know if you're trying to insinuate that penal is in the bush, so the school would be have a lot of green in it. Purple. And I would now all of these colors could work, you know. It's just your justification for choosing that particular color, you know. What are the different associations that are with purple? Now purple is usually associated with things like royalty and things like that. I was supposed to give Ollie something to do, you know, but I forget. Let's do one more. Let's do this one. So this is a play called The Agouti's Tale. It's set in the forest in the Caribbean, and it's an Anansi story. So the themes are storytelling and deceit. In the Anansi story, you'll always find deceit. Anansi tricks the dog into making horns for him to attend a party being thrown for animals with horns only. Basically, Anansi tricks the Agouti into thinking, you know, he'll accompany him on the party and then he make him get thrown off the boat and all kind of thing. So it's set in the forest in the Caribbean. What colors are we thinking?
Green, brown.
Green, brown, good. So you give that very earthy, very, natural, outdoorsy kind of feel. And it says now some set pieces. What pieces of, I guess you could say, furniture are we picturing that would work well with this script? Anybody? You can type it in the chat if you want. When you think of forest, what do you see on stage? Jedediah said a tree stump. Good. Yeah, definitely. You must have a tree stump if it's a forest. Or a whole tree. Why a stump? Because who cut down the tree for it to be a stump? Anything else that we see?
Miss Grass.
Grass. Rocks. Good, yeah. Rocks, definitely. If you ever went on a hike, that's a good one in truth, because it's something that you don't normally have in sets with forests, because everybody is so busy studying the trees and everything. But when you really do go into the forest, like if you go on a hike or something, you're going to find a good bit of rocks, dirt, yes. Which I mean, yeah. I don't know how you'd achieve it, because remember you also have to think about the blocking on stage and people skidding on the dirt and dirt under the shoes and all that. But you could represent it somehow. But yeah, let me just, good. This is all good. Thank you all for your participation. Let me just give you your last little assignment. I want to come out of here. So we could finish up today. So I'm going to send a link. Why am I neighbor cutting grass at this point in time? Please make sure that you send your name in the chat so that you will show up as having attended today's class. I'm going to send a link to everyone. And what you're going to do between this link and between what you remember from the slides is that you're going to make a list of, when I say a list, you're going to make a checklist for the process involved in set design. So what's going to come first, second, third, fourth, fifth, what you're going to do first. If you are a set designer, they call you and you say, hey, we're going to do this play. We want you to design the set for it. And you say, oh my God, yeah, sure, of course. What are these steps? So that's your, let me type it for everyone to see. Make a checklist. Write it down in your book or wherever you're writing your notes. For the process involved in designing a set. There's a link there that Ms. Duncan ever so graciously sent to us to use as a resource as well. But that's yours to keep. You don't need to send it to me to correct or anything, but please do it. Even if you do it after all your classes today. And it will come back to haunt you. So don't think you're not going to do it and you'll get away with it just because I haven't given you a quiz or something on it at this point in time. But that's what you're going to do today. Make a checklist for the process involved in designing a set. I'm going to confirm with you all next week, but most likely, fingers crossed, hopefully it's going to be on Microsoft Teams with our guest speaker who's going to talk to us about set design and construction. Anybody have any questions, comments, queries, or concerns before I send you off on your break before your next class? Ishika says no. I'm taking that as a no for everybody. Again, just before I end the chat, make sure that your first name and last name is here so that I can take your role. My messages are open on Edmodo at any point in time. So no homework this week. We all good? Because next week, we're probably going to get your, I'm probably going to assign your first assignment for the term. So no homework this week, except make a checklist for the things involved in set design. If that's all, I'm going to send you all off on your, I will say, of course, I will send the PowerPoint. Once I upload the recording and the PowerPoint, I'm going to put it on Edmodo maybe within the hour. But yeah, I'm going to send you all off on your day. Enjoy the rest of your classes. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I will see you all again, same time, same place. No, not same place, but same time next week, Wednesday.
Bye, Miss.
On
Bye,
my-
Miss.
Bye, Miss.
Bye. Make sure you put your name in the chat.